Elliot, it is great to have you back here with us on The Watchman Show.
It's great to be here.
Man, and what an incredible spot to be with you. Tel Beersheba. Beersheba, it reads on the page, but it's pronounced Beersheba here in Israel. A place of incredible biblical significance. Tell us why.
Well, this is where it all begins. This is where Abraham comes from Ur, Mesopotamia, when God comes to him and says, get up, go, leave your homeland, leave your land, leave your father's house, and go to the land where I will show you. And between us, I think if he had told him he was coming here, he might not have come.
And why is that?
I'm joking. But he's leaving the center of urban civilization, where he's lived his entire life.
Ancient Mesopotamia.
Ancient Mesopotamia, but urban ancient Mesopotamia. Remember, he's not living off in the farm country somewhere. He's living in a major city.
And he was prosperous.
And prosperous. And he's not a young man. And he comes out here to the desert, to the middle of nowhere. Remember that when Abraham comes here, there is no Beersheba. Beersheba is named because of what happens while he's here. He's in the open desert, and he becomes a shepherd. He's now grazing. Change of profession.
I mean, a professional guy, prosperous there in a center of urban civilization, and he comes to literally what was then the middle of nowhere, the Negev Desert.
The Negev Desert, we're in the northern Negev, the middle of the northern Negev. The Negev is essentially an inverted triangle, long triangle, so we're in the upper part of it. In the middle of it, we have the Sinai Desert off to our west, the Arabian Desert to the east and to the south. Desert, a lot of desert here. Hebron, maybe 25 miles north of here, which in those days is 2-3 days travel on foot, animal, whatever. I mean, you could probably gallop it on a horse, but if we're talking about moving, it's a distance. And he comes here and he grazes. And here is really where he establishes himself for the first time in the land that will be promised to him.
Wow, the patriarch, Elliot, it all began here with Abraham. I mean, incredible. And you and I were talking off camera a bit about that leap of faith that he took.
Yeah.
He was an older man, as you said.
He was an older man. Again, joking aside, God says, leave it all, give up everything you know, give up all your security, financial, physical, and mental, knowing where you are, and take that leap, go to where I show you. Yeah. And he brings him here. And you've got to imagine that Abraham comes here with that faith and says, here? Yeah. And it's, yes, here. Here's where it begins.
And this area, Tel Beersheba, is mentioned 33 times in the Bible.
Yes. Later on, this becomes a major city. The promise is the land will be given to you from Dan to Beersheba, Dan all the way far to the north. It's not a border, it's an indicator. But this becomes the southern central city of the Israelite kingdoms, the First Temple period. Solomon built a gate here. It's a fortified city. This was the major city that marked essentially the southern end of influence during that period of David, Solomon and beyond. This was really the last stop. From here, you really are off into the wilderness.
Wow, so this was the extent of the Davidic dynasty and that kingdom. It stretched to Beersheba, the southernmost point.
In terms of rule, yes. Not in terms of influence, but rule. Here, this spot. Of course, the modern city is behind us. This is modern Israel. Yeah, things have changed completely.
It's pretty stunning because we have these ancient ruins, thousands of years old from the time of Abraham, Elliot, but not far over in the horizon, a few miles away, is the modern city of Beersheba, which is a thriving city and it's growing.
Yes, the capital of the Negev, home of a university, major hospital, industry. The military is moving a great deal of stuff down here now, out of the center of the country. So
we're not far from the Gaza border either, not too far.
We're not far at all. Yeah. Also, a number of miles, Beersheba got hit by rockets.
That's right.
So we're in Hamas rocket range.
Yes, we are.
Now, Gaza, of course, is the old land of the Philistines. Some things never change. You've got to realize land ownership out here means something very, very different than what it means in a city. And we know that from here, Abraham moves up to the Hebron area. When Sarah dies, he buys the field of Ephron the Hittite, the cave of Machpelah.
Where he's buried today.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Where he, Isaac, Jacob,
yes,
their wives. That's ownership. He pays for it. and he buys it. Out here, grazing lands aren't really owned in those days. And it's more you graze, and while you're on it, it's yours, and then you move on, and somebody else can move through it, and you don't come back and say, this is my land.
There's not really a title deed in writing to the land.
Exactly.
This is really the Wild West.
That's right. And that's the way, by the way, it was up until very recently among the Bedouin tribes of this area. They didn't own land, they grazed it.
Yeah.
Now they're settling down for all sorts of cultural and political reasons and that sort of thing. But there was no ownership in that sense. It was also true in terms of national level. It was influence rather than border. Now, this becomes the homestead. This is where Isaac comes back to. Jacob comes back to here for a while. But the homestead in the sense of this is the area where he pitched his tent. And he doesn't build a house. He is a nomad within his land.
The patriarch Abraham. Elliot, where we're standing right now, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob lived here.
Yes, here in this area. Yes.
Wow. And this is only the beginning of the story, by the way.
Absolutely.
We're going to hit a well with great biblical significance. We're going to hit the gate of the city, and we'll get more into Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, their presence, their story here, and we'll go further down the line in the Old Testament as well. So, Elliot, let's explore this incredible site, Tel Beersheba.